Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. This guy is so good. And motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre.
All right,
so I always say that all the time at bowling.
Oh,
like, yeah,
then we're recording.
Oh, I'm sorry.
By the way, coming up today, it's the return of everybody's favorite Chicago political soap opera.
A mayor and his alderman.
That's right.
That's correct. That's correct.
The long-awaited return. Coming up, who's the new 35th Ward alderman? And wait, what exactly happened to the old one? It's Friday, April 4th, and this is the Ben Joravsky Show's Oh, What a Week.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
Ben?
Bruce Rauner, yay for our teachers. You remember that one, people? Bruce Rauner, you elected him governor of Illinois. Heck of a job, Illinois.
Now, apparently you hung out with teachers a few days ago. Is that right?
That is correct. And I will now tell you all about it, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't it was yesterday. And so I want to thank the Chicago Teachers Union, and I want to thank Elizabeth Todd Breland, who used to be on the Board of Education. She's a professor and a writer. She wrote a book called I Didn't Come Here to Lie, My Life in Education, Karen Lewis. It's essentially Karen Lewis's words. She spent hours interviewing her, and yesterday there was a book panel discussion, a promotion of the book hosted by the Teachers Union at their headquarters, and I was part of a panel that consisted of some old friends. You remember Jesse Sharkey? He was on the panel, okay? Jesse Sharkey, former head of the Teachers Union. Elizabeth Todd Breland was on the panel, and SDG, Stacey Davis Gates, was on the panel. And there was luminaries there, okay? You know who was there? Gregory Royal Pratt was there in the audience with the Chicago Tribune. GRP, okay? People are like, yo, GRP. Yeah. He was like, what can I say? And then he started quoting Eminem because he's a huge Eminem fan. I just made it up because Dennis and I were talking about Eminem. Anyway, it was a great panel discussion, and I had a lot of fun. And then, we're just reminiscing about Karen Lewis, who's one of my heroes. You know this, D. You've heard me on this subject many, many times. A dear friend, Karen Lewis. And I always get a little teary-eyed when I think about her because I miss her so much. But whatever, that's how it happens. This hasn't happened to you yet because you're so young. But there will come a time in your life, and when it happens, you go, oh, my God, Ben predicted this. When you get teary-eyed all the time, like stuff will make you, like, cry. And you'll be like, what happened to me? What happened to the old strong guy? Like, for you, it'll be like you'll be watching a video of T-Mac. Tracy McGrady, ladies and gentlemen, one of Dennis's favorite basketball players from the late 90s. Okay.
Very good player.
Yeah, I know you love him. That's your generation, man. T-Mac, Vince Carter. I know what you guys love. And you'll be watching him and like be clouds in your eyes. How did that happen? I'm like, man, it happens when you get old. Anyway, Karen Lewis, love you. So we were there last night, and it was a fortuitous moment because SDG was feeling pretty good. They just cut that deal with the Board of Education, which is only in the city of Chicago. They're getting hammered for the deal. You know what I'm saying, D? We can talk about this later in the show if you want, but it's like the city. This city is so freaking weird. The Board of Education, the mayor of the city of Chicago, and the Teachers Union agreed on a deal that would hire more librarians and teachers. And they're getting condemned. This is outrageous. This will not help him. What? You don't want librarians and teachers? Is that what your official position is, Chicago? No. Less is more, Ben. 25. Here's the deal. Karen Lewis said this, and it's in the book. We talked about it last night. When she sat down with Mayor Rahm, right after Mayor Rahm, he wasn't even Mayor Rahm, he was Mayor-elect Rahm. Right after he got elected the first time around, this was like in early 2011. The voters of Chicago thought it would be a good idea to elect as their mayor someone who knew nothing about Chicago. Heck of a job, voters. And so he sat down with her before he was officially sworn in, and he just told her, we're gonna fire teachers, we're gonna close real schools and farm out contracts to charters, and you're gonna get your union members to line up and like it. Okay? And she said, but that's going to hurt the school children. Firing teachers and closing schools is going to hurt the school children. And he told her, according to what he says, that 25% of the kids in the city of Chicago's public schools won't amount to anything anyway, so why invest in them? Of course, then he said he didn't say it, deep. Come on. You believe Mayor Rahm or you believe Karen Lewis? Think about that. Even Mayor Rahm's supporters believe Karen Lewis on this one. Because you want to know why, D? I think the vast majority of people in the city of Chicago agree with Mayor Rahm. They're like, well, these kids will never amount to anything. Well, I don't want to pay my tax dollars on these kids. I'll pay it on my kids, but not these kids. How else do you explain the fact they just cut a deal, they increased the number like librarians, and every newspaper knows, harumph, this is outrageous. They're spending more money on these kids, in these classrooms, on these teachers. Harumph. Cut them, fire them. Anyway, that's where I was last night, D. I was at the Chicago Teachers Union for a great panel discussion. So thank you, everybody. Elizabeth Todd Breland, by the way, I cut a deal with her, D. She's coming on the show.
Oh, that's what I was going to mention. The big highlight of this event last night.
I was
my people. This guy cutting I saw pictures. I'm like, that looks like he's cutting deals.
I was cutting deals.
Listeners, get ready. A lot of guests coming up on the Ben Joravsky Show. All right. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
GRP's coming on. I cut a deal with Gregory Royal Pratt. Okay. Cut a deal.
There you go. Oh, you say you've been listening to Eminem.
Yes.
Check out. You ever listen to DMX?
Oh, okay. So just first of all, I think I'd actually told you this. I had never heard of DMX before. I'm not into hip hop. I'm not into rap. I really don't listen to Eminem, but I've really gotten into reading his lyrics, which is a weird thing I do. The only thing I know about DMX is that one night, my buddy Norm and I, shout out Norm, it was after a basketball game. We were just watching the TV, and a DMX documentary came on, and man, what a freaking story that was. The story, wild. You probably saw this documentary. It was really popular, I don't know, 10 years ago, whatever. So to answer your question, I don't listen to any rap or hip hop, but I occasionally read it, and I'm not familiar with anything by DMX that I'm aware of, I should say. I'm not aware, because sometimes I know about, I'll say, I know this song. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Who is this again?
Oh yeah, I think you'll know when a DMX song comes on, because maybe every 1 or 2 minutes he'll go DMX. Okay. Just wait a little bit and you'll hear who sings the song if it's him. You know what I mean?
That could be a telltale sign. Yes, that could be a clue. I think that's a clue as to who sings this song.
You say a GRP made me think of DMX. That's why I said that. But anyway, Gregory Pratt. That's awesome.
Yeah, Gregory Royal Pratt. So Monica Ang was there as well. I'm going to cut a deal with her. So a lot of people there. Several others. I was wheeling and dealing. You know, I don't get out that much. When I get out, I cut deals, D. That's how it's done in the city of Chicago. All right.
Deals will be cut. If you ever see Ben Joravsky out in public, just know you may be able to cut a deal with him. You know? He's in a mood. He's in a mood. All right, let's find out what happened in Chicago and or Illinois. More Chicago news coming up, but we begin in Illinois. And while the governor was away this week, it seems as if a little union turmoil has begun to grow.
I'm not afraid.
No one said you were afraid, Governor. Over the weekend, our billionaire Democratic governor, one J.B. Pritzker, jetted off to Mexico. But before he did that, he vetoed a bill supporting warehouse workers and rejected efforts to modernize gas lines because of the costs, saying the bill's language needs work and that he wouldn't rule out signing a revised version down the line. Now, I know this sounds like the beginning of a very boring story, but I promise this gets better, all right? So JB vetoed that bill, right? Okay. Now, the Teamsters Union, who, remember, did withhold an endorsement recently from Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election, the Teamsters Union issued a statement condemning the governor on its social media channels for vetoing this bill. The president of Teamsters Joint Council 25 said the bipartisan legislation, quote, would have prevented companies like Amazon from abusing the workforce by regulating the use and disclosure of warehouse quotas. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Team JB responds. And once again, tell me you're running for president without telling me you're running for president. because I don't think the following statement from JB is talking to the president of the Teamsters Union.
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay?
Yeah, I think they're talking about that guy.
Oh my God.
Remember that audio?
Oh, do I remember that? His thing about windmills, lunatic. It went down 70%. The stock market's how much is the stock market down today? Suddenly Donnie's worried about the value of things falling. But I digress. Go ahead, dude.
Here's the quote from Team Pritzker. Quote, Governor Pritzker will not make decisions based on statements from people who spoke in favor of Donald Trump's anti-worker agenda last summer and aided Bruce Rauner's attacks on working families.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
That comes from spokesman Alex Goff on X. Ben, your thought?
I have so many thoughts. First of all, why are you guys still on X? That's the first thought. Come on, JB, get Goff off of X. X is run by Musk. You know who he is, Alex Goff and JB Pritzker? I know you do. All right, D, I'm all over the map on this one. All over the map. And I have a bias in this one, okay? And I will now express my bias. I was having a conversation with the great, the moral, the legendary Mick Dumke about biases in journalists. And I believe that journalists should always express their bias before they weigh in. All right. And most don't. Most pretend they don't have biases. Hello, guys. You're all biased one way or another. But I'm free. I'm liberated. It's day 3 of liberation? Isn't that what Trump said? Liberation Day? So I'm liberated. Okay, Donnie? I'm liberated. So I'm going to express my bias in this one. So on one hand, you have a coalition of J.B. Pritzker and the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And on the other hand, you have a coalition of labor unions, Teamsters, as you mentioned, and the operating engineers. I cannot stand the Chicago Tribune's editorial board. So, JB, what strange bedfellows you have that you're in bed with these anti-union, hate on anybody getting what they deserve, tools of all-powerful capitalists who are total hypocrites, will sell out to the Daily Democrats, the Daily Machine, and the Trump Machine, but suddenly, they got something to say when it comes to Brandon Johnson. So that's a huge bias against Pritzker in this particular instance because he's in bed with the Tribune. On the other hand, you got the operation engineers who are against this bill, and I have a bias for them. Why, you ask, Dennis? Do I have a bias for them? Excellent question, Dennis. That's a brilliant question, and thank you for asking that question. Because when I was down and out and got fired by the radio station, I can't remember the radio station's name, but they fired me. Dennis is all set to tell me the name of the radio. Go ahead, say it.
Go ahead.
The operating engineers stood by me and helped me get started. So, D, I will always have some love for them. Big Eddie Maher, I know you're not there anymore, but he stood by me. And so I'm kind of old school that way. And I don't agree with them on everything, that's for certain. But when they feel it's in the best interest of labor people, I'm going to be with them. So they'll cut a deal on this one, D. There's no doubt in my mind that Pritzker will cut a deal and they'll get a bill passed and they'll forget these harsh words. But right now, I'm thinking of Ed Maher, who stood by me when I was down and out, and stood by you, D. When you were down and out, you were mini down and out. You were not really down and out. You were just kind of little bit down and out, and helped us get going. So there you go, D. That's my bias. Okay, if the Tribune and its little suck up to Daily and criticize Brandon Johnson editorial board is against it, probably, for it, probably I'm going to be with the international operators, and that's where I am, young man. Okay, you got that?
Yeah. It's an interesting one. This story kind of shows like two things. One, like maybe that is the benefit of being a billionaire. You can tell unions to go, F themselves, I guess. I don't know if that's a benefit or not, but like, you know what I mean?
You have freedom. You don't need the money.
Yeah. And
you have certain freedom. Go ahead.
It's almost like even more indication, like we were talking about, of him running for president. Like
He is running for president, and he
Well,
will
hasn't
be
said it yet.
elected.
He hasn't said it yet. He's just putting out very obvious
I understand
clues.
that.
This is
I
another.
understand that.
This is
But
another
this is an
one.
obvious one. Yeah, and this is an easy one for him. I could see his strategist. Maybe the kid Alec Goff is his strategist. Here's what you do, JB. Can you imagine being a strategist for JB Pritzker? You get to call him JB. JB, here's what we got to do. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, yeah, here's what we're going to do. We're going to suck up to the Tribune, win a little positive editorial for them. We're going to get the Teamsters mad for us. Well, that'll be great because then you can bash the Teamsters and look like you're standing up to Donnie Trump. That's perfect. And then, when the smoke sort of clears, you cut a deal and everybody's happy. Okay? All right, get to it. That's I've never been in a back room talking to a big-time politician like Governor Pritzker, but do you think that's how they talk to you? JB, here's what we're going to do. Okay? Here's how we're going to play this. Who is the guy? Is it Alex Goff? He was the spokesperson, correct? So I don't know if he's the one who goes, JB, here's what we're going to do. But that's what they're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, just this instinctive reaction against unions, I see it all the time. We just got done talking about it. Like if the Chicago Teachers Union is for something, all of corporate Chicago and all of the mainstream press is against it. It's got to be bad if the Teachers Union is for it. Similarly, if the operating engineers and the Teamsters are for something, the Tribune is against it. And that's their bias. Here's my bias. You know what? If they're against it, they must have a good reason for being against it because it's hurting their rank and file. So I'm for them. I'm with the unions, D, on this particular case.
Yeah, it's real interesting. Like it kind of shows, like I said, really targeting Donald Trump and just kind of throwing regular people under the bus a little bit, right?
He's running for president, and the way to get that Democratic nomination is to pound away at Donnie. Now, I don't blame him for doing that. I predict he will cut a deal on this one. I predict he will cut a deal. And you know where we'll read about it, D? Chiacapos. That's where we read about it the first time. Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. But I think it's beyond that. I think it's beyond just bashing Trump. I think that's just a maneuver on his part to try to save face. Now, I think this is an overture to the business community of the state of Illinois, which is represented to a certain degree by the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And he's sucking up to them. And because the Teamsters reacted the way he did, he responded by bashing them for their Trump-like, their footsies with Trump that they played at the convention. Remember, Sean O'Brien spoke at the Republican convention, the head of the Teamsters. So I think that is a response by the Pritzker people to try to confuse folks as on the issue and sort of play into the animosities that people have against anything that it could be looked as pro-Trump. How about that, D? How about that as theory, huh? Yeah. Everybody else is playing checkers. I'm playing chess, D.
Well, we'll have to keep reading and finding out what happens. But one thing is for certain, I don't think anybody's removing their Pritzker suck signs from their yard after reading that quote. Am I right?
No, man. The Pritzker suck signs are going nowhere, okay? Oh, my God. Dennis was the one who told me about the Pritzker. So you just show me on the train. Look, this is the response downstate. By the way, I just want to point something out. The city of Alton, where the doctor is from, and producer Chris is from there as well, went Democrat. I want to say that. It's a Democratic city, man.
There's probably like people, there's obviously people in this union, the Teamsters union, that are like, hey, man, I voted for Kamala, man. Leave me alone. Why you got to trash where I'm working, brother?
Well, oh my God, there was a split in the Teamsters over that.
Right.
So Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters, and that's a very good point. Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters, went to the Republican convention and sucked up to Trump. It's true. And he sucked up to a bunch of other MAGA types, including Vance and Hawley of Missouri, Senator Hawley of Missouri. So you're absolutely correct. And there was upset in the Teamsters, and there were dissident members of the union who then publicly supported Kamala Harris. So it really is inaccurate to just do a broad brush attack on all Teamsters just because Sean O'Brien went up and sucked up to Trump at the convention. You're absolutely correct. And this is the politics of the moment. This is what I'm saying. J.B. Pritzker is trying to cover up the position he's taking that would alienate his the leftist, whoever's paying attention on the Democratic Party on this issue, by saying the people who are against him are pro-Trump. Which is so bizarre because I'll point out one more time, his ally in this is Chicago Tribune editorial board, which is worthless in the fight against Trump. So you see what I'm saying? He didn't have his press secretary, what's the kid's name, Goff, say, oh, we're supporting this bill, even though the Tribune's editorial board, which is freaking worthless, is also for it. You didn't see? Did he say that, D? Take a look at the statement again. I can't recall him saying that. Did the kid say that? No, I don't think he said.
No.
Goff didn't say that. He just bashed the Teamsters. Yeah, so that's exactly what's going on. You're absolutely correct. One more time. He took a position that upset working people, and so he tried to get out of it by bashing the Teamsters as pro-Trump. So I'm with the working people on this particular issue. Absolutely. Now, that said, I'm going to stun you with this. If he's running again, well, Donnie won't be running next time, right? Or will he? Will Donnie run for a third term? I don't know. But I'll vote for Pritzker over Trump any day.
Well, here's the question. And we'll move on, all right? Here's the big question. If JB were running for governor, is that a smart move? Would he do that?
Yes. Is it a smart move? Yes. Politically smart move. Do I support it? No. But again, you got to remember, you're talking to a lefty, and I'm out of the mainstream. And so, like,
you're the only one I'm talking to. So, are you there? Hello?
You're the only one. Oh, God. Uh-oh, here comes the coughing. Hold on. I had to drink some water. The coughing was
I think if you're running for governor, it's not a good strategy to throw people who work for the Teamsters who didn't vote for Trump under the
I oppose it, but if I oppose it, this is how I view the world, D. This is how I view I support the Chicago Teachers Union. Is that a wise political strategy? No. Everybody dislikes the Chicago Teachers Union except for me. So I support the operating engineers and the Teamsters on this issue. Is that a good strategy? I don't know, D. Who else supports them besides you and me? Right? And you and I have a personal reason for doing it. They supported us. So I think that Pritzker views the Tribune's editorial board as more important if you were running for governor than you or me. There you go. I said it. Stun you. Look, he doesn't know what to say.
Show's over, guys.
It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Oh my God.
By the way,
you.
I'm tracking billionaires, but you're one of them, and I like you. They're not all the way that I presented them. You are a billionaire, are you not?
I am.
They love billionaires.
I love that clip whenever you play it. You are a billionaire, aren't you? Yep, I am. Still am. Yes.
All right. By the way, it was WCPT 820 AM.
Oh, yeah.
They fired you.
But Big Eddie Maher stayed with oil to me, so God bless you, Ed.